Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Mr. Liu, who is going to be a promo character coming to RTS, and he should be arriving in draft potentially in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for him in draft if you so wish. But visually on the right hand side you can see it's kind of like the Mr. Liu we know from the S-Class era visually, with the sunglasses, the sort of like the dyed blonde hair, but this time around he is holding that pistol because he's an alert character. He's got the gold watch, the gold pistol. He's flexing us. Let's be honest, he's flexing us. If we look at his art on the left hand side, we can see he actually strips down even further than he is already, so potentially when he gets upgraded to Limit Break 3, he could lose the jacket. There is potential. He's got quite a lot of tattoos, pretty cool looking. And yeah, visually, I think Mr. Liu is one of the cooler looking characters in the game, no doubt. If we look at his stats at Limit Break 2, level 680, he has got 14,120 attack, 14,120 defense, and 18,827 HP. He is an alert character, of course, holding that pistol. He is considered a medic. He is a gold mythic character, and he, like I said, he will be a part of the Typhoon Allegiance, and by no surprise, really. So we should potentially be seeing more Typhoon characters coming out in the future. Now, first of all, we'll look at Mr. Liu's Adrenaline Rush, and it is a 55 AP cost rush. Taunt up to 2 enemies for 2 turns. One other enemy gets minus 60 AP. Heal this character for 100% of their max HP. So pretty basic. Nice taunt in there, taunting 2 characters for 2 turns. 2 for 2 seems pretty balanced. One other enemy getting minus 60 AP is kind of nutty because you've got 2 under control, and then now you've just controlled a 3rd one by just actually relinquishing them of all of their AP. They're not going to be able to rush pretty much. Now, there isn't any AP resist in the game. There are some characters that have it on their passives, and there's that one character on Conquest who has it on her resist. Somehow she has a resist mod to her AP drain. I've got no idea how that's happened. It's Veronica, but most characters are going to instantly get done by this. They heal this character by 100% of their max HP is really nice. It doesn't seem to play into the rest of their kit at all, but it will just be like a full heal. You know, tanky character potentially on a defense team, max HP, those taunted attacks come in. At least it's going to be taunted attacks against someone who is max HP. Okay, so here we are on the rush turn. Now, I haven't lost any HP on my Mr. Liu here, so he's not going to get the heal, but he would heal up to 100% as long as he's still alive. No matter how much HP he has, even if it's 1 HP, he will heal all the way up to 100% HP. And because it's percentage based, it doesn't matter if he's got 5,000 HP, 25,000 HP as the case is right now, or 50, 60, 70, etc. You know, it doesn't matter. We're going to just control one character here, and you're going to see another character get controlled, which is Maggie. But you also saw minus 60 AP to Erica here. No rush, no AP at all. Completely useless on an attack team. Only a basic attack or a signature move can be used at this point. And of course, you could get this rush off on a defense team commanded turn 2 without too much of a problem. And of course, if he gets commanded turn 2, that means he's going to be controlling 2 attack team characters and obviously doing the AP drain to another attack team character before you'd have a chance to get your big, rushes off. So Mr. Liu looks like to get ahead of the attack teams potentially in the right setups. Now, if we look at the upgrades on this rush, it is actually crazy. At grade 2, it gets 1 extra taunt target, so it would be 2 taunt targets instead of 1. At grade 4, it gets plus 15 AP drained, so it goes from minus 15 to minus 30 AP. At grade 5, it gets 25% extra healing, so it goes from 25% to 50%. At grade limit break 1, it goes from 50% to 100%. And lastly here at grade limit break 2, it goes from minus 30 AP to minus 60 AP. So it is actually a big upgrade from limit break 1 to limit break 2. The minus 60 means you're basically never going to have an issue with a character potentially getting commanded. For instance, if you have a character at full AP and they get minus 30, if they do their signature move, they'll still be able to get to full AP, and then you could potentially command them that turn. But yeah, this is going to be pretty rough, honestly. This is so many upgrades. I can almost say, I'd like to say this is most likely not going to get an upgrade. Once it gets to Limit Break 3, I'd assume. I've never seen a rush this upgraded, I don't think. This is it's pretty nuts. But his rush is very powerful, and lots of control in there. Doesn't do too much else. Not much kill potential on his actual rush itself, but potentially there will be based on other parts of his kit. Now, Mr. Liu, of course, has a signature move, and it is called Impending Doom. It is a turn 1 initial cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited, and it is one enemy gets 50% infection for 2 turns. All alert teammates recover from bleed. So pretty straightforward. The infection is very, very powerful when it comes to being able to get out of turn 1 on attack teams, on a defense team. It doesn't really matter. Conquest, you know, challenge run, and then within challenge run, alerts are kind of weak, honestly. And I think this might be the first infection character to come into alerts. So this guy's going to be really, really powerful for challenge run. The all alert teammates recovering from bleed is nice for sure on a defense team. Potentially you could have a setup because Tara does fast and tough. I know that William does everybody, but you potentially wouldn't have a team set up where he could actually, you know, sit in that team. Whereas Mr. Liu's going to be getting potentially the alerts, which are kind of missing out. So that's very powerful, of course. And on an attack team, really good as well, because you also have like fast characters that have a lot of the cleanses. So if you wanted to make a very powerful alert attack team, you know, with Laurie and like Carol, we wouldn't need Carol as much with this guy, but Laurie and Carol and like, let's say Sandy and Diamond in terms of challenge run or other game modes, or even potential like very, very fierce attack teams in raids and stuff going forward because of the trait damage. This guy's just going to be able to cleanse one of the definite problems that can be lurking on a defense team. Okay, so here we are on an attack, and you can see I am using some alert characters. I have got someone who is not an alert character, of course, is Headless Herschel as a leader. Now I can target someone on the defense team who I think is problematic, let's say the Revive, and we will use Mr. Liu's signature move. It doesn't do an attack, it just does an animation, and I cleanse the bleed from all of the alert characters, as you can see. Steve and Eugene up the top are no longer going to be bleeding, but however, anyone who is not an alert character will be. So on an attack team, fortunately for Headless Herschel, he has got a cleanse himself. So if he used that, he can cleanse it for him and someone else, because it cleanses more than one. I think it cleanses 3. So he could be a duo with someone like Headless Herschel in the team, or you could have Lydia with 2 fast characters, or 2 non-alert characters with Lydia included, plus Mr. Liu and 2 other alert characters. There are definitely some new sort of mixes you can do on attack teams. On defense teams, it's just going to cleanse exactly the same, but all alert characters. So overall, a pretty basic signature move, but it also doesn't have much in the way of upgrades. It just has the grade 3 -2 to starting cooldown. There's no grade 4, grade 5, limit break 1, or limit break 2. There's most likely going to be a limit break 3 upgrade here, and I do kind of wonder what it potentially could be, honestly. To make this more powerful, you know, it's very reminiscent of the S-Class Trader in terms of doing the signature move turn 1, and there are other parts of his kit which are very reminiscent of the S-Class Trader, and well, this is going to be problematic if this gets buffed in any sort of ridiculous way. We'll have to wait and see, but already it's powerful enough, and it hasn't had any upgrades at all, really. Okay, next up we'll check out Mr. Liu's Mythic abilities, and these are of course his passive skills. You can see that he has got Spirit, which means 20% of all his healing will also be granted as bonus HP because he is a medic. Next up he has Persistent. Whenever a teammate or enemy dies, heal up to 2 teammates by 30% of their max HP. This will also heal 20% in bonus HP based on the fact that he has got Spirit, so they sort of work together. And this is where the medic role seems to be coming in terms of healing other people. So far he's been very look after Mr. Liu, but this is very good for teammates. He could potentially be the only healer on an attack team, and as long as you're consistently taking down enemies, this is going to be very useful. It's also going to be useful in things like Survival Road, if it ever gets more difficult, just because of the fact that he can heal up your teammates between waves. So it's actually going to be pretty nice. Next up is Great Wall. While battling on the defense team at the start of each turn, not wave, but each turn, all alert and strong teammates get 40% bonus HP. This is honestly really, really powerful, because one of the ways you could get through certain teams, like with Pamela Leeds, was with pure percentage damage. So it's going to be much harder to do that now. He could also sit on a team with Barker lead and not get the Barker lead actual bonus, but buff all the strong teammates on that team, which would include characters like Rick, Barker himself, William. So a lot of powerful characters that are in strong right now, and Mr. Liu can potentially buff those. If we scroll down a little bit more, he has got Poisoned Blood. When this character dies, up to 2 enemies get 20% infection for 2 turns. So far in his kit, you've kind of seen he might be like a priority target to take out, but if you do, you're going to get a little bit of issues there. 20% infection is not that high, but if you don't have any healing potential on your attack team, you're basically, going to be against the clock in terms of actually taking out the rest of a defense team. So nasty either way. Ignore him, massively problematic. But if you take him out, unless you've got counters in place, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, so now we'll put him on the defense team, and you're going to just sort of see how the bonus HP works. I'm mainly going to actually just defend on everybody. It isn't about me trying to just eliminate this defense team, which I don't think I would be able to do with this particular team I've taken. But just watch the bonus HP pop off in general. And you're also going to see some very quick rushes come out. Potentially some turn 1 rushes because of the commands. And you can see natural turn 2 rushes because of the likes of William. But look at the bonus HP in here. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And while he isn't getting the leader bonus, he's definitely going to work on these sort of defense teams. And this is quite similar to how Tara defense teams are set up with Davey, where you can get a lot of bonus HP in those teams. Bonus HP just seems to be in a lot of these defense teams right now, and percentage damage is having a hard enough time as it is, and this is not making it any easier for sure. If we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 1, you can see Persistent comes in, and that is the heal up to 2 teammates by 15% of their max HP. At grade 2, it's the first half of Spirit, it's 10% of the healing as bonus HP. At grade 3, it's Persistent 2, so you're going to get the full amount of healing by grade 3, which is actually pretty decent. At grade 4, you are going to get Great Wall Part 1. While battling on the defense team, at the start of each turn, all alert and strong teammates get 20% bonus HP. So if you don't get him fully maxed out, there's still going to be a pretty reasonable amount of bonus HP there. Poison Blood is going to come in at grade 5. So it's going to be the infection when he gets taken out. And then Spirit Part 2 is going to come in at Limit Break 1. And Limit Break 2 is the second half of Great Wall, which stacks with the first half, making it a 40% bonus HP total to alert and strong teammates. So overall, I think the upgrades are kind of nicely spaced in terms of if you get him at grade 5, which would be 2, he's going to be a certain level of power. Limit Break 1 and Limit Break 2 is where he's going to get more stats, but also at Limit Break 2, he's going to get that big buff. The 20% bonus HP is going to actually be really crazy. Mainly, it's going to be stats. I would say if you do want to use this guy on the defense team, he primarily needs to be... we've talked about it a little bit. I think coming up in the Limit Break 3 era, Limit Break 2 is going to be kind of like the minimum you want to have your characters on a defense team if you want them to have any good level of survivability. A lot of the time, if they're lower, their stats are just going to fall off. Also, you're going to miss out on very key skills, and this Limit Break 2 here is very key long term. Now, you probably noticed it, he has got that specialist skill that is extremely powerful, Resilient. This character gets 50% to any status resistance applied to them, and an inherent 50% resistance to all statuses to which they otherwise have no source of resistance. This means that if you gave them a 50% mod or higher, it would also add an extra 50% on top of that mod to make it 100%. But if he didn't have a mod or any sort of source of resistance, be it from another character or anything like that, he would have a base 50%. Now, there are slight counters to this now compared to previous eras, so while I thought Resilience was very overpowered in the S-Class era, in the Mythic era it is still very powerful, but you can counter it with specific roles. For instance, the new Control role has the upgrade Precision, which is, the comparable one to the Medic having Spirit. And Precision has a direct counter to any sort of resistances, and that would include Resilient. and it is a flat rate resistance reduction. So anyone who has precision fully upgraded will be extremely powerful and honestly really important against someone with resilience. Otherwise, you're going to have a real hard time with getting those controls off and so on and so forth. If you remember it, what it was like in the S-Class era, not much is going to change in the Mythic era, but some key characters are going to be quite important. But otherwise, yeah, good luck. So this isn't everything that Mr. Liu has. He, of course, is going to have a weapon, and quite similar to S-Class Trader, is going to have Infection on defense on it. It is a 5-star weapon off the get-go, as you can see, because it has got 4 upgrades on there. You can see those 5 stars. I didn't do that myself. This is the base weapon, and it has got 25% defense, 35% HP. When being attacked, a better chance the attacker gets a 50% heal reduction for 2 turns, and then when being attacked, a 30% chance the attacker will get 50% infection for 3 turns. Now, the difference between Mr. Liu as a Mythic character and the Trader as an S-Class is that Trader had that infection in the 3rd slot, so you could disarm it. There was kind of a way through. Mr. Liu, not so much. You cannot disarm this. Only characters who have Disarm Specialist skill can attack this character freely without any risk of the 4th slot actually proccing, but they can't disarm it for other people. So it's going to be a massive issue, honestly. Okay, so I just randomly put a team together just to show you the basic attacks. If I attack him, I can potentially get infected or heal reduction on any character that actually targets him. It is a risk. I got heal reduction on 2, infection on 1, and then he infected someone else with his signature move. So off of turn 1, it went badly. It went badly if I actually focused him. And again, if I just continued it, we could get the heal reduction side of things now this time around on Mercer. We got the infection side of things this time around on Kapoor. Romanov still got away scot-free, and we got both infection and heal reduction on Eugene. Now we're going to have 2 characters taunted into him. And those characters are in trouble unless I can get the heal off. Obviously, you can potentially heal these characters, but I'm just going to show you if I continue the basic attacks, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse for me. And that's where characters will just begin to slowly start to drop off, basically. And obviously, those taunted attacks are going to give him more AP, which means that rush is going to come up more often. We know how it works. So this was Gold Mythic Mr. Liu, and he brings with him a lot of power, of course, power that we're quite familiar with from the S-Class era. But there are slightly more ways to deal with this nowadays because of the way things have changed with roles and stuff like that. So while he is still going to be really crazy powerful, at least there are options to actually take this guy down rather than it just being a character running riot throughout the entire era, which is definitely what happened with Trader in the S-Class era. But I still think Mr. Liu is going to be extremely dangerous on the wrong teams. I say the wrong teams because it's going to be those nasty defense teams, and he doesn't even need to get leader bonus for that, you know, really big bonus HP to come through. And I can see those strong defense teams which have suddenly started popping up a bit. I started talking about strong defense teams a couple of weeks ago, and people are like, oh, we don't ever see them. We're seeing them quite a lot now, aren't we? And this guy's gonna make them even tougher than they already are. Because those teams aren't getting as much bonus HP until this guy comes along. And his kit as well brings what that team doesn't have that much of, which is a lot of kill potential. So, yeah, nasty for sure. Well, what do you think about Gold Mythic Mr. Liu, guys? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.